What if one day Princess Leonor faced an impossible choice? Not between countries, not between duty and failure, but between two things that both matter deeply: the Spanish crown, or personal happiness. What if King Felipe, understanding the enormous responsibility waiting ahead, one day had to ask a heartbreaking question? Can someone truly have both? Because royal life has never been simple. Tradition often asks for sacrifice. Duty sometimes asks for painful choices. And history quietly reminds us that personal happiness and responsibility do not always move in the same direction. Today, we're exploring one emotional and fascinating possibility. Could Princess Leonor ever feel forced to choose between the crown she inherited and the life she truly wants? And if so, how difficult might that moment become for the people who love her most? Let's explore. Royal life has always come with sacrifice. History teaches one difficult truth: royal responsibility often demands compromise. Personal freedom becomes limited, privacy disappears, relationships face scrutiny, choices grow complicated. For centuries, royal families around the world have balanced personal desires against public duty. Sometimes successfully, sometimes painfully, and perhaps Princess Leonor's future may someday carry similar emotional questions. Because becoming queen isn't simply about wearing a crown. It means responsibility, expectation, service, national symbolism, a role that quietly shapes nearly every part of life. That reality alone feels enormous. King Felipe may understand this better than anyone. Here's something important people often forget. Few people understand royal pressure more deeply than King Felipe. He grew up carrying expectation too. Responsibility, public attention, historic duty, preparation for leadership. Perhaps that experience gives him unusual understanding of the emotional cost royal life sometimes carries. And maybe one difficult reality quietly follows parents in extraordinary families. Wanting someone you love to be happy, while also understanding responsibility matters. That emotional conflict alone could feel heartbreaking. Especially for a father. What if love someday complicates everything? Here's one emotional possibility people often wonder about. What if Princess Leonor someday falls deeply in love, but circumstances suddenly become complicated? What if personal happiness and royal expectations no longer perfectly align? History has shown moments where royal relationships created difficult conversations. Tradition, public responsibility, national expectations, personal sacrifice. Perhaps one emotional question may someday quietly appear: how much should someone sacrifice for duty? And equally difficult, how much happiness should someone give up for responsibility? Neither answer feels simple, especially when emotions become involved. Queen Letizia may see this differently. Here's another interesting possibility. What if Queen Letizia sees Leonor's happiness differently than royal tradition might? Perhaps more focused on emotional well-being, freedom, balance, personal fulfillment. Maybe motherhood naturally creates a different perspective. After all, parents often want happiness first, even when responsibility matters deeply. Perhaps difficult family conversations could someday involve one emotional question: how do you prepare someone for duty without losing the person they truly are? That challenge alone feels enormous. The idea of an ultimatum feels so emotional for a reason. Why do stories like this capture attention so strongly? Because they feel deeply human. Not royal, human. Most people understand difficult choices. Dreams versus expectations. Love versus responsibility. Personal happiness versus obligation. Those emotions exist everywhere, whether someone lives inside a palace or an ordinary home. Perhaps people connect so deeply to Princess Leonor's story because underneath royalty exists something familiar. The fear of choosing between two meaningful futures, and wondering if any choice might hurt. Maybe the real question is whether balance is possible. But perhaps there's another way to think about this. What if the future isn't about choosing one thing over another? What if balance matters more? Could Princess Leonor someday build a life that includes responsibility and happiness, tradition and individuality, duty and emotional fulfillment? Perhaps modern royal life continues evolving. Perhaps difficult choices don't always require impossible sacrifices. And maybe that possibility feels more hopeful than people sometimes imagine. King Felipe's hardest role may not be king, but father. Here's something deeply emotional to consider. Perhaps King Felipe's hardest responsibility isn't ruling. Maybe it's parenting, watching someone he loves face difficult futures, knowing pressure exists, wanting happiness for his daughter. Yet understanding duty matters too. Because maybe one painful truth feels universal. Sometimes loving someone means helping them make difficult choices you wish they never had to face. Especially when no perfect answer exists. The human side people sometimes forget. Sometimes people focus only on titles. King, princess, future queen, but beneath royal life still exist ordinary emotions. Love, fear, hope, pressure, difficult conversations, family, and perhaps one emotional truth feels impossible to ignore. Even royal families may quietly struggle with the same question many ordinary families face. How do you help someone choose the life that will truly make them happy? So, could Princess Leonor one day face an impossible choice between the Spanish crown and ultimate happiness? Perhaps. Or perhaps the future may prove more complicated, and more hopeful, than people expect. Because maybe the real challenge isn't choosing one or the other. Maybe it's finding a way to hold on to both. And perhaps that emotional possibility is exactly why stories like this feel impossible to ignore. What do you think? Could Princess Leonor someday face a painful choice between love, happiness, and royal duty? Or do you believe modern royal life makes balance possible? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more royal stories, hidden truths, and fascinating discussions.